Right now, this man is Keir Starmer's biggest threat.
An update for the group. Crisis in Plotland. Ramona Big Chungus has launched a military coup and only you can stop it. Sign up to NordVPN and use the code Among Us to beat the totally sus Chungus and save Plotland.
Yep, that's who I'm talking about. For me and my girlfriend's anniversary, I got her a cameo from the woman that plays Dorota in Gossip Girl. And yeah, I agree, it was thoughtful, sweet, romantic. But imagine if I got her a cameo from Nigel Farage. I may as well have thrown in a Build-A-Bear that rants about how woke f***ing Hermione Granger is. But this week, it's not just Nigel I'm worried about, it's this.
So I want to be absolutely clear at the start of this 6-week campaign that Reform will be the toughest party on law and order and on crime that this country has ever seen. We will aim to cut crime by half in the first 5 years of a Reform government. We will take back control of our streets. We will take back control of our courts, of our prisons. And if you're a criminal, I am putting you on notice today that from 2029, or whenever that may be, either you obey the law or you will face very serious justice.
That's right. While summer in Britain fades away, Reform have been milking the spotlight harder than the people behind the bear. The Reform Party even launched their own line of football t-shirts. And who did they get to deliver them? Lee f***ing Anderson, the very MP who became famous for saying this.
Can you answer me a simple question? Should it be necessary to have food banks in 21st century Britain?
I thank the honourable gentleman for his intervention. He makes a great point, and this is exactly my point. So I invite you personally to come to Ashfield, look at our food bank, how it works, and I think you'll see firsthand that there's not this massive use for food banks in this country. We've got generation after generation who cannot cook properly, they can't cook a meal from scratch, they cannot budget. The challenge is there.
And obviously, this summer, Farage roamed the UK to pitch how he'd cut crime, cut immigration, on a tour he called Britain is Lawless, which sounds like a band formed by an edgy Year 8. Who was the support act? Someone's uncle giving the St. George's flag a little lap dance? Now, if you don't know, but Farage has made the headlines this week for his plan on how to cut immigration. And that itself is a whole other topic. This video, I want to focus on his plan to cut crime, because it's nothing but flawed and gimmicky. And oh yes, I am well aware that that last sentence will definitely get me some hate. But you know what? A wise man commented on my video last week that I, Ollie, am a golden shining Infinity Rose Diamond King and a legend as well. Now, do I know what the hell all of that means? No, not really. But before you comment your little insults, ask yourself this. Are you a golden shining Infinity Rose Diamond King and a legend as well? No, you're fucking not, because only I am. So here's the main event. Farage's plan to cut crime by 50%. 1. Recruit 30,000 more police officers and remodel the UK's approach to policing to be like New York's. 2. Build 12,000 new prison spaces and move some inmates to live in prisons in Albania or El Salvador. And 3. End diversity training in the police force, which, let's be real, is not going to have that much of an impact as Reform are trying to make out. And that's it. He's got no plan around prevention. And sure, you could definitely argue that they already have things in place to prevent crimes being committed, such as more police being out on the streets. But I'm talking specifically about barriers in place to stop that potential offender even going out onto those streets. Let's talk about violence against women. Reform rarely mention it. Some of their members may argue that their immigration plan covers some of that. But last year, 7,874 sexual offences were reported, and at least 78% of those were committed by British nationals. Now, we've talked on this channel about male rage and incel culture, and how that could all be tackled via better education on relationships and toxic masculinity in schools, or via other forms of long-term prevention programs. And Reform don't seem interested. But hey, what should I really expect from the man who last year praised Andrew Tate as being an important voice for men? It'd be like expecting a Michael Bay film to actually be good. Now, youth services too are good prevention programs, and not just for steering young boys away from the manosphere, but also steering young people away from knife crime. From 2010 to 2011, David Cameron's government slashed funding for youth centres by 54%, and knife crime rose by 87%. And we can all say what we want about Keir Starmer, but to his credit, he's the first Prime Minister since to start reinvesting in those youth centres.
Do young people really spend all of their free time on these? The government thinks so, saying they're spending more and more of their time detached from the real world. Well, Prime Minister Starmer thinks he has a solution. Youth clubs. When I was a youth, they were everywhere, but they've halved since 2012. So the government's investing 88 million quid into youth services, giving young people more activities to do outside of school. The Culture Secretary says
the majority of young people now spend the majority of their free time alone in their bedrooms online and are losing confidence to connect with people in the real world.
And the Institute for Fiscal Studies think tank says youth club closures have led to an increase in crime. Some people say British society is breaking, but do you agree, and could youth clubs be the key to fixing it?
Yes, I obviously do. I think it could solve part of the problem. But if Reform gets in, their plan to cut £90 billion worth of taxes could do a lot of damage to public spending, which means I can't imagine those investments to youth services not being gutted again. Plus, let's talk about prisons now. It's all very well for Reform to say that they're going to build 12,000 new prison spaces, but it's pointless if reoffending continues to stay at 27.5%. That's a big portion of crime right there. So if Farage has no plan to reform our prison system, reoffending will continue to stop crime ever going down. And yes, I know I've just criticised Reform's plans for the economy, and reforming our prisons to be like Scandinavia's prisons would be very expensive to pull off. But there still is a much cheaper strategy to make our prisons more of a place of rehabilitation, which is to invest and expand on the brilliant employment schemes that take place in some prisons. And those schemes have amazingly positive results. And you may know, but I spoke more about this in detail in my prisons video, so definitely give that a watch, link in the description. So as a centre-left social democrat, there's no way that I would vote Reform. But putting my bias to the side, if Reform really want to cut crime, they need to do 3 things. 1. Map out long-term prevention programs for violence against women. 2. Continue investing in our youth services. And 3. Reforming prisons to become more of a place of rehabilitation. But if Nigel Farage really thinks his ideas are going to cut crime, the only thing getting locked up is our future.
James Marson, what did you do with Big Chungus? We know you're the sus imposter, and I saw you vent in electrical. What did you do with that wish delivery the other week, James? Use code Among Us for a $20 discount on James Marson merch.